Symptoms didn't show up first, they show up last. And that's one misunderstanding is why so many people feel blindsided by pain, why it feels sudden, why it feels unfair, and why so many people say this came out of nowhere. Today, we're going to unpack why that's almost never true. Welcome to the Back Chat Beyond Pain. This podcast is for people who are tired of chasing short-term relief and want something more. Each episode, we break down what it really takes to move better, live stronger, and build long-term spinal health. Not just feel good for a moment. I'm Dr. Oz from The Back Doctor, and this is where we go beyond pain. So in the last episode, we talked about pain as a signal, not a problem itself. That idea alone changes how people think about their body. But today, I want to take that understanding a step further. Because once you know why pain is a signal, you also need to understand why it shows up so late. And once you get that, a lot of confusion and frustration starts to make sense. Because your body has this deep hidden strength. It's incredibly adaptable. The human body can adapt to so many different things. It can handle poor posture, repetitive work, old injuries, daily stress. And for a surprisingly long time, it does. Muscles, they compensate. Joints stiffen to protect themselves. Movement patterns quietly change. The body spreads the load. It finds workarounds. How amazing is that? And all of this often happens without pain. And that's not a flaw. It's the body not failing. The body's doing its job. It keeps you moving and it keeps you functioning. But why does the pain start to appear later rather than sooner? Because pain doesn't show up when stress begins. It shows up when the system has run out of options. Think of it like using a credit card. At first, everything feels fine. You swipe, you cope, you adapt. The body does the same thing. But eventually, the bill arrives, not because of every last purchase, and because of everything before it. Pain is that statement arriving. It's not the spending itself. A greater way to explain this is the use of an iceberg. This is where the iceberg helps you understand what you feel. Because back pain, neck pain, headaches, that's the small part above the surface of the water. But underneath that waterline, that's where the real story lives. That's your posture habits. That's your movement habits. That's the old injuries you've worked around. Nervous system stress, daily wear and tear. And by the time the symptoms show up, that iceberg has been forming quietly for months, sometimes even years. And that's why the pain feels sudden, even when it isn't. It's just like, boom, hello, I've arrived. But the problem has been building for a long time. So this is why it confuses people. Because people say things like, I didn't do anything. I just woke up like this. I was fine yesterday. And they're not wrong. You may even resonate with some of those words. And nothing new happened. What happened is something old has finally reached its limit. The body whispers first. Tightness, stiffness, fatigue. Pain is the shout. This is exactly why we talk about going beyond pain. Relief focuses on the symptoms at the surface, and that has its place. It calms things down. It creates breathing room. But real progress happens underneath. When you address what led to the symptom, not just what you feel today. That's the difference between reacting to pain and changing the system. So if you're listening to this right now, it's worth asking yourself one question. Have you been surprised by the symptoms or ignoring early signals? Because symptoms don't come out of nowhere. They arrive when the body can no longer compensate. And understanding that changes how you move forward. So if symptoms are the last thing to show up, what actually drives breakdown in the first place? What slowly loads the loads the system until it reaches that tipping point? That's what we're going to be unpacking next. And if you remember one thing today, it's to remember this. Pain didn't come out of nowhere. Your body didn't suddenly fail. Pain is a late stage feedback, and understanding that is the first step forward. So if today's episode resonated, take a moment to let it sink in. Feeling better is a step, but lasting health is built over time. Thank you for listening to the Back Chat Beyond Pain. And if there's anyone who you know that could benefit from listening to this podcast, please refer this podcast over to them. And until next time, keep moving forward. Take care.